Twin Talk. This is Warren Moose. By the way, if you can't remember his name, just think of it as Chocolate Mousse. And Elizabeth, do you want to tell us a little about him?
Okay. He fought in Germany in World War II.
And we're so happy to meet him. Okay, so let's start with a few questions about your childhood.
Wait, but before we start with that, I want to ask you a very important question. Like we said, we like to ask all our guests, what is your favorite kind of ice cream?
Fresh strawberry.
Oh, that's so yummy. Have you ever picked strawberries before? Like, gone somewhere and picked them?
That sounds... You picked fresh strawberries where?
Because I remember when I was little, we used to go and we used to pick fresh strawberries from a farm together. And that was one of my hobbies. I loved doing that.
Well, I did that too in Fresno. My wife and I went out into the field. As a matter of fact, I was interviewing for my business a family, and my wife Joan was out in the field picking strawberries while I was doing that.
Nice.
That's very, very nice.
Okay, what was one of your hobbies when you were a child?
I didn't have really any hobbies. I was a Cub Scout and then later a Boy Scout, and I think scouting and hiking and camping, you might say, was what I really liked doing.
So you probably liked hiking?
Yeah.
So you liked all kinds of things?
That went with camping.
Okay. Did you ever cook s'mores at the fireplace?
Didn't even know what s'mores were in those days, but we did do marshmallows, and then they'd catch on fire, you know. That ever happened?
I'm not that good at cooking s'mores at all.
We try to get them brown until they'd be eaten, and then they'd catch on fire. They then couldn't eat those. They're all black.
Yeah. The trick is pretty much just to hold it the right amount up on top of the fire. Anyway.
Now you tell me.
Sorry. Anyway, when you were little, where were you raised?
I was raised in the Burlingame, California area, in an area called Hillsborough. And that's where I grew up, pretty much. Went to grade school, high school, and then later when I went off to college, I left Burlingame, went down to Stanford.
What was it like at your high school?
It was great. I later became a high jumper in track, and that was pretty good because I earned letters, and I held a record in high jumping both in my grades, elementary school, and also at high school.
That sounds very, very cool.
Never know it looking at me now.
That's very, very cool. How much was your record?
How much was my record? Oh, well, I finally made it to 6 feet.
Wow, that's a long jump.
Well,
it's taller than
no,
me.
it's a high jump. I wasn't very good at the long jump. That's another deal. Anyhow, go ahead.
That's taller than me. Can't believe that.
Yeah. I don't think I could jump over a curb now.
Probably could if you keep practicing. Anyway, how did you get into Stanford?
How did I get in there? Well, my father paid the way because it's pretty expensive. And I didn't really do too well at Stanford, and ultimately I ended up being forced to leave. In other words, I flunked out. and then went to junior college, got reinstated, and instead of going back to Stanford, I went up to Oregon, where my wife met me, and I don't remember her. Then we went separate ways. That was probably just before the war broke out with Germany, and Japan bombed us, excuse me.
How old were you when you were forced to be in the army?
I believe I was 21 or 22, and I left Oregon at my father's insistence to come down and enroll in dental school in San Francisco, which I did, and everything was going fine until my grades came down from Oregon. And so instead of finishing dental school, I was inducted into the Army down in Monterey, California. And from there, I went to Camp Barkley near Abilene, Texas. And after being there in basic training for roughly half the period of about 6 or 7 months, 6 or 7 weeks or months, I forget, I was called and transferred to San Francisco to go to dental laboratory technician school, which I did, and finished that as a dental laboratory technician.
What is a funny or interesting story you remember from the war?
Well, one of the most interesting and fun things that happened to me was two things. The first, you said fun things. That was when Christmas. I think it was 1946, when two GIs and me took a Jeep up into Holland. We were stationed in a mobile dental laboratory in Antwerp, Belgium, a place called Camp Topat, and we were able to get a Jeep and take it up into Holland, and it was just absolutely incredible. I do remember hitting the roads with a Jeep in Holland, and the cobblestones just about knocked your teeth out. But then when we got up to Holland, we were told to go to Dom Square, and which we did, and met a girl in Dom Square who had never seen GIs before, and we didn't know what she was up to, but she came and asked us who we were and what we were, and we told her, and we ended up introducing us to a couple of other young girls who accompanied us all over Holland, and they just cooked great food for us, and it was just a delightful, wonderful time. Best time I think I had in all of my experience in Europe during the war, that particular Christmas.
Well, did it ever snow?
Yeah, going way back, when I was in Aachen, Germany, I've never been so cold in my life. And it did snow.
Do you have any kids?
Yes, I do.
How many?
I have 3. I have a son and a daughter, and 2 sons and a daughter. My daughter lives down here, and her name is Melinda, and she's my very special living angel. She's the reason I'm here. And one thing that you probably won't ask us, but I just need to mention it. I moved here a little over 4 years ago with my wife, Joan, who was a Navy veteran, World War II. And we lived together here in this home. We're uniquely the only World War II married couple here, and it's still to this day. But I lost my dear wife a year ago, last March 29th.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. We miss her.
What stories did you tell them about the war?
Pretty much the same stories I'm telling you folks right now. nothing that we as GIs, which was a term for soldiers, were asked not to fraternize with, particularly in Germany, because they were the enemy. But we found that even though in spite of the horrors of the Hitler regime, civilians were just like civilians anywhere in many cases. But while I was in pass to Paris, I previously mentioned my buddy, our outfit moved from Sangerhausen to Nordhausen, and in Nordhausen there was a horror prison camp, much like Buchenwald, where there were just the remains of dead civilians, Jews and others, just laid out all over the place. And I have those photos up in my room.
It's horrible.
Well, I wasn't the one who discovered these. It was my buddy and roommate when I was on pass in Paris. But I have photos, and he made comment on the back of all these photos. And Lisa Blattner, who is a very good friend of Phil Stern, who has done all the photos that you see around this facility of soldiers and celebrities. She took the pictures and did something with them, but I don't think they ever got published.
What do you say to people who deny the Holocaust?
I don't really say much of anything. I just say that they're wrong, and I can prove. I have the pictures to show them.
Did it give you nightmares?
Not really. As I say, I wasn't there. I just had the pictures that Mel took as my proof. I was in Paris.
How was it like in Paris?
Well, it was absolutely gorgeous. But as I think I mentioned a little bit earlier, I was there during the mourning of the loss of our President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So people were kind of depressed. But the weather when I was there was Paris in the spring. It was beautiful.
Have you ever been on the Eiffel Tower?
Yes, I have.
How tall is it, do you think?
I don't know.
Are you scared of heights?
Well, yeah, I'm not fond of heights. My dad took me up on the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco when they were building it. I went up one of the towers and looked down. That was kind of scary.
But I'm a little afraid of heights. I don't like roller coasters or heights, and that's the main reason I do not like roller coasters. No, I'm just afraid of heights.
But when I was your age, I was afraid of heights.
I'm not afraid of heights.
You're not? How can you be twins and be different?
I thought twins are sometimes.
She likes Rocky Road and I don't.
Did you ever go to Rome?
Go to where?
Rome.
No, I was never in Italy.
You've never been to Italy?
Pardon?
You've never been to Italy?
Never. No. I went from England during the war, England to France, to Belgium, to Holland, Belgium, Germany. And then I neglected to say we proceeded in this mobile dental truck, or one of the types of mobile dental trucks. I went in several of them, and finally went as far as Leipzig, Germany, either before or during the war. I'm not sure where exactly the war was when it ended, but we did see the Russians across the river and waved to them, but didn't talk to them. As the war ended, shortly thereafter, I guess shortly thereafter.
When was there a ceasefire?
I don't remember the date.
Well, like how long did the war last?
4 or 5 years, I guess.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Do you like dancing?
Do I like dancing? I used to. I'm not much of a dancer now.
Would you like to dance with us a little bit? Just a little bit, not that much.
Sure, why not?
I'm not that good at dancing either. But I like it. It's fun.
Doesn't matter who dance as long as you have fun.
Thank you so much, Warren News, for coming today, for letting us interview you. It was very fun.
Well,
Now, let's dance a little bit.
the pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, let's dance a little bit.
If you like our show, subscribe here, like, and share.